Saturday morning. And that means it's time to catch up on the local and statewide high school sports scene. Welcome to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Good morning. We welcome everybody to another fine edition, which we hope will be a fine edition. High School Sports Talk brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com. I am one of the co-hosts. I am actually in a different seat than I normally am. I'm the Coach Ed Young. The voice you normally hear introing is that of Matt Hatfield, the CEO, the head janitor, the face of everything in terms of high school sports talk. The noise you hear in the background is being created by that one and only Matt Hatfield.
You know, somebody that knows me very well, Ed, and I appreciate you being in the power chair today as I catch my breath from a morning that I don't even want to discuss, or a night I don't want to discuss. But people that know me know we're on the air and they still decide to video call you. I don't get that. It should be like out of my phone now permanently, right?
Well, that's true too, but it's not going to as the phone continues to go. But see, part of the issue that today is very simple. My co-host and good friend here, Mr. Matt Hatfield, debuted a brand new show this week here on the airways of 94.1 here on ESPN Radio. If you missed it, you need to wake up and start getting to it. It's a tremendous show. I only caught a piece of it because of my other duties that I have to do, but it's 757 at 6. It is a weekday show, 6 o'clock. It's on for an hour, dealing with a lot of the low. And I'm going to have Matt talk a little bit about it here today, because sometimes our Saturday people don't listen to the week and the week don't listen to Saturday. So we're going to mesh all that together. And if you're not listening to radio during the week, you got to wake up. Nick Cattle's show is on. If I'm not mistaken, what's Nick's show? 3 to 6, right?
3 to 6,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's... You got to listen to that if you want to get your sports. Now we have Matt Hatfield hosting 757 at 6. And by the way, yours truly will make some certain guest appearances when my contract allows it. Matt has not finalized the ink on my side of the contract.
We're working on getting those details ironed out.
He's keeping me at arm's length. But in the true sense of a new celebrity diva on the male side, Matt came in late, stayed out late last night.
No, I actually went to hold on.
No, I got this. It's
not true. I went to bed early
stayed
last
out late
night.
last night with some newfound friends. This is what happens when you get your own show.
No, it's not true.
Newfound friends. Now, everybody says it's Ed Young.
That's not true.
But Ed Young fell asleep last night about 9 o'clock on a Friday night.
Why weren't you at a game?
No, I rested my body. My body
I'm getting
needs
that.
rest.
As you can probably
But
tell
Matt
my
Hatfield
voice.
had a long night.
I'm getting
a lot
that
of things
sickness
going on.
with the weather changing.
I think he. I can't say this for sure, but I think he got in about 8 a.m.
No.
Now we were supposed to do a podcast, ladies and gents.
There we go. He's
at 9 a.m. So I was here by about, Thomas, I think I said 8:45. Sat in my car, listened to some radio, returned some emails and texts and whatever. And then I walk in the studio here about 10 till 10 because my partner is, just getting in. You got to fix his hair and everything to get to the studio. So in the true diva
Didn't happen
sense,
today. Just grabbed a hat and ran.
welcome Matt Hatfield. He is back. As you've heard him, he is here. And everything is going to be kosher and okay.
You have every right to be upset with me and disown me today.
Nah, I don't get upset with that.
I had 6 alarms set. Didn't hear any of them.
I have no problem getting up extra early on a Saturday, driving here, sitting in a parking lot for an hour and 10 minutes. I don't have any issue with that at all.
Boy, he's salty.
Remember,
extra salty, Thomas.
I am a teacher first and a coach second. I have extreme patience. You're just like many of the children that I have to daily mentor and teach. So I'm okay with it. But trust me, it will not happen again.
I'm sure it won't, because you'll probably introduce me as you would with a little child, like to the wooden spoon or the Ed Young belt or something, and that'll be the end of the day.
Very simple. I'll be introducing a new co-host, period.
I'm sure.
And you could stay during the week.
I'm sure. So let's, we want to fire up the scoreboard?
Let's do scoreboard. Let's get these
Go
shows.
through the
Let's give
games
the people
from
what
last
they came here for.
Fire it up. I'll be at a game later today. Phoebus and Warwick. Big showdown in the Peninsula District at Dowling Stadium at 2 o'clock today. If you want to call in, phone lines are open all morning long at 757-687-9494. 757-687-9494. Give us a buzz. What district do you want to start in, Ed?
I want Bay Rivers.
Bay Rivers
There was a slight
District.
upset that messed me up.
You always pick against New Kent. or you always pick New Kent, and the result
you don't want to have. No matter what I did.
Well, you picked Poquoson this time,
and they won.
So the New Kent Jinx Thomas is done for at least 1 week as the Islanders of Poquoson shut out New Kent 27-0. Good victory there for Elliott Duty's Islanders, and the defense keeps knocking people down there. I mean, they've been really strong defensively all year long. You look at it, they had a shutout against Jamestown, did a good job against Southampton. So Poquoson pushing their mark to 3-0 on the season. Speaking of Jamestown, they played Grafton in the toss-up game of the night. I think we both took Grafton, didn't we?
Yeah, but I don't think it was a toss-up. I felt real confident with Grafton, but apparently I was wrong.
Well, we both were wrong. Jamestown wins it 21-13 to give new coach Michael Murphy his first victory at the helm of the Eagles. We had him on back in the summer, coming over from Gloucester as an assistant coach. So Jamestown coming off that loss on Tuesday, 50-29 to Smithfield. They get the W there. So we'll also highlight some of the games from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. It's been a wild week where there's been a high school football game every night in Hampton Roads, which is hard to fathom when you think about it. Usually we're used to just games being on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but with Mother Nature and the threat of Hurricane Florence not too long ago, games got pushed back and some games were rescheduled due to the weather. Jamestown a winner over Grafton 21-13, and Poquoson pitching a shutout of New Kent. What's happening today in the Bay Rivers District, you ask? Well, you got Lafayette and Tab tonight. That's at Bailey Field. And coming up in just a little bit at high noon, it is Smithfield playing host to York. Be more surprised if Tab beats Lafayette than whatever happens in the Smithfield-York game. I think we both took York in that one.
Yeah, I don't see Tab has enough power to knock off a Lafayette. Yeah, Smithfield-York. Smithfield can win that, but I got York too.
So there you have it. Bay Rivers District results from last night around Hampton Roads in high school football. Tuesday, we mentioned the Smithfield win over Jamestown, 50-29. Where are you headed to next, my friend? Where are we going?
Let's slide over to let's stay on that other side of the water and go Peninsula District.
Peninsula District. There was one last night that really caught our eye. It's a rivalry game. Hampton and Bethel, both teams coming off a loss. The Bethel game with Warwick, which we'll get into from this past Tuesday, was a wild one. And Hampton hadn't played in a while, only one game in the books. They had lost to Warwick. If you remember, Kenny Gilliam, the interim coach from Mike Smith, until he comes back as the King on Queen Street. See what I did there? King on Queen Street in October on the 4th against Minchville. Hampton pitches a shutout 14-0 of Bethel as their defense was really strong up front. That defensive line really the difference against the Bruins as they blank their rival Bethel 14-0. Woodside over Heritage. Rather quietly, the Wolverines are starting to roll under Danny Dodson, 26-7 over the Hurricanes of Heritage. Some of you may have heard last night on the High School Football Scoreboard Show the interview that Dominique Velarde had with Coach Danny Dodson, and that defense to hold Heritage down to 7 is a mighty fine job. Remember, Woodside had lost to Highland Springs 36-6, but they had a shutout at Kickotan 2 weeks ago. They keep Heritage to 1 score. Here they are at 3-1 and looking like a team to be reckoned with in the Peninsula District.
That game was scoreless first half. Correct?
It was. Yeah.
So all those points came in the second half. I guess that the dam broke for Heritage, but they put up a strong effort. And I think Heritage is obviously a team we got to keep an eye on too, as they succumb to a pretty good Woodside team.
I'll be curious to see. Remember, Woodside and Phoebus were supposed to play last week, but what will happen with that matchup when those two get together? They've rescheduled that game between Woodside and Phoebus. It's going to be October the 2nd. That could very well be viewed as the Peninsula District Championship game, if you want to call it that, the de facto PD title game. So that's what's went on in the Peninsula District. Earlier in the week, Bethel and Warwick on Tuesday. And I got to give Ed Young some props on this, Thomas. He told me last week we were making our picks for the games this week, and he said, I'm going to take Warwick, but I got a funny hunch Bethel's going to win this game against Warwick. And wouldn't you know, Bethel had the football. The game was tied against Warwick. It was 13-all. And then Bethel's trying a 30-yard field goal with 40 seconds to go. And Van Crawford blocks it. Russell Collins returns at 80 yards for the winning touchdown. Bethel on the ensuing kickoff, they get the ball inside Warwick territory. Pass is intercepted by Tyleek Ray at the end. And the Raiders remain unbeaten 4-0 for the first time in 18 years 20-13 over Bethel. We both took Warwick close. It played out that way, but Bethel has to be feeling like, man, we had this one as the Raiders snatched victory from the jaws of defeat.
Yeah, Bethel's going to bite somebody soon. I mean, that was a close one. And I tell you what, props to Warwick. Coach had mentioned about maybe going 10-0. We both said, okay, that's coaches speak, and we all do that. And there's no problem with that. It's how you motivate your team. But they are 4-0, and then winning a game like that makes a statement because they can easily fell apart, and they really held ground and served, so to speak, in that situation. So I profess, even though Warwick already knew it, they're for real.
One thing we also have to mention from Tuesday we forgot about in the Bay Rivers, we touched on the Smithfield and Jamestown game. York ended up beating Tab in overtime, 20-14. They were down 14-0, and that one got some big plays in the second half from their quarterback, Ramsey Hyatt, as well as John Michael Cassidy in the backfield, and Luke Gatz, the wide receiver tight end, catching the ball, also a factor for them on defense. Tab was lining up for a game-winning field goal into regulation and missed it. So the kicks matter in high school football. They sometimes go good for you, or it could prove to be a disastrous situation.
You have a good kicker in high school, he gonna win you some games, because it just doesn't happen on the regular in high school as well as it does college and, of course, pros. You know, those guys get booted if they can't boot it through the uprights.
So there you have it, a win for the Woodside Wolverines and the Hampton Crabbers. Oh, by the way, those two teams still have to play each other. That'll be in mid-October on the 19th. Peninsula District action, you got that one today. I mentioned Phoebus and Warwick. It's a 2 o'clock game there. You have also going on Minchville and Kickingham, 2 o'clock game at John B. Todd Stadium in Newport News. Warwick and Phoebus is at Darling. So we've covered the PD, we've covered the Bay Rivers. Where do we go? We'll do probably one more district, then take a break and go through a couple more districts and do our interviews and normal routine. Where do you want to go before we
go Eastern District and take a break?
Eastern District. Here was the high-scoring affair of the night. I don't think this game ended till about 10 o'clock, as Chris Engel was giving us great reports on the high school football scoreboard show from it. Lake Taylor over Norview, 58-27 was the final. Another great game for Malik Newton, the sophomore, who rumbled strong for the Titans for 270-plus yards in their Monday night win before a packed house against the Maury Commodores, 49-35. We had an interview with Malik on the 757 at 6 earlier this week, and you can check it out on virginiapreps.com.
The 757 at 6.
Look at that. Nice job by Thomas. And Thomas and Will Driscoll, as well as Kyle Hightower, are contributors on that program as well, and you'll hear from Ed Young, weeknight 6 to 7 on that show too. But Ed, Lake Taylor wins it 58-27 last night over Norview, but here's the thing that got my eye. Lake Taylor puts up 50 again. They're averaging about 50 on the year. One good thing here, one bad thing here. Norview running back Katron Allen runs for 330 yards and 4 touchdowns. A ninth grader.
A ninth grader against Lake Taylor. He didn't run against me in Hatfield. It was against Lake Taylor. So eyes on this youngster now.
Now, that's just astonishing to me. The young running backs in Norfolk are tremendous. You look at him, you look at Rodney Hammond at Booker T. Washington, C.J. Beasley at Maury's no slouch. There are some really good sophomore freshman running back you got to keep an eye out for in Norfolk and the Eastern District. So there you have it with that. And Lake Taylor wins it now. One sad situation. We don't know when what the update is yet. We're hoping to hear more from Coach Hank Sawyer, but last night, Javon Harvey hurt seriously in that game. He's the wide receiver defensive back for the Titans. He played some quarterback last year. A really serious situation. They took him off on a stretcher. We're still waiting word on what the update is. I know that's a key loss for Lake Taylor if he's out for any extended period of time, and we wish Javon Harvey all the best and hope he is back on the field. And that was the thing Coach Sawyer was worried about, playing 3 games in 9 days, having someone go down, and there was a lot of cramps in Monday night's game against Maury. So Norview shows some promise with the offense. Couldn't stop Lake Taylor, but what's new, nobody has all year. And the Titans now, I think, a good win. They get through it, but they got Phoebus next, and Harvey is a key factor for them. They miss him for any length of time. That could really do a lot of damage to them offensively and defensively.
Yeah, that's big. And you know, our thoughts are out there with him, and hopefully somebody will give us an update and make sure that youngster's okay, and we'll be able to continue his season, and the injury won't be that serious, and he'll be all right. But Lake Taylor hitting stride, and of course, you know, Phoebus, that's going to be a heck of a game. I mean, that's playoff business.
Yeah, that's next Thursday night at Darling Stadium. Be there or be square, Lake Taylor and Phoebus. colliding there. Both figured to be undefeated if the Phantoms can get through that game today with Warwick.
You got to get by Warwick, but, kind of like their chances.
Two more Eastern District results, and we'll squeeze in our buddy Keith from Smithfield and go to break. Woodrow Wilson over Granby last night, 20-7. The defense was strong for Coach Dominique Grooms, the first-year head man who's got the Presidents at 2-3 on the season. Speaking of strong defense, Norcom, we were wondering about their defense the first couple games this year, Ed. They get up 49 to Lafayette, 31 to Booker T. What's wrong with them? Well, they get a shutout Monday night, 20-0 of Granby, and then they followed up with another shutout, 16-0 of their Portsmouth rival Churchland. So they've gotten some things figured out defensively. And oh, by the way, their junior defensive end, Antoine Powell-Ryland, who missed the first 3 games of injury, he's back, and no coincidence, in 2 games they've got 2 shutouts.
You can probably point to him and say that's a lot of help. He's causing havoc on that line, and maybe Norcom is back to what we know they are.
Getting him back is a huge deal. Remember, his older brother, DeMontre Ryland, was a linebacker for them, who's now on the coaching staff over there at Norcom. So the Greyhounds moved to 2-3 on the season with back-to-back wins. And Maury bounces back from the loss to Lake Taylor on Monday night. They defeat Booker T. Washington 30-22. They're 4-1, and I would tell you what, they're in a good position, maybe even a driver's seat to get that number 2 seed. I won't say number 1 because we'll get to number 1 in Division 5, Region A here in a second, but to get the number 2 seed, Ed, in the playoffs, which would be big for Maury, would give them a chance to host 2 playoff games.
And I tell you what, they bounce back from a tough physical game with Lake Taylor in a short week and play a good Booker T team. Okay, maybe not as strong as Lake Taylor, but still, Norfolk rival, strong team, got some athletes, and they were able to take that win.
So we've got more scores coming your way with the Beach District, the Southeastern District, and private schools. But let's go to the phones at 757-687-9494 and squeeze in our Bay Rivers District aficionado from the Packers of Smithfield, our good buddy, Keith. What's going on, Keith?
How you doing, man? How you doing? How you doing tomorrow?
Oh, we're good, Keith. We're good. Except that my partner, you probably didn't hear, he was out late last night.
No.
He's the new diva with his weekday show. So
not a diva.
We had to start without him.
I got in early, Keith, and I guess that messed up my routine, going to bed early as opposed to going to bed in the normal time at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Hey, Keith, have you listened to the 757 at 6, his new show?
No, I ain't listened to it. I was busy that day. I ain't get a chance to look at it.
Keith, first of all, you're not going to look at it because it's radio. You listen to radio. You look at TV, all right?
Yes,
but you got to listen. You're our number 1 guy on our Saturday show, and I want you to be the number 1 guy on Matt's weekday show, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, what you got on your mind today?
I woke up, thank God, this morning. I could have overslept, but I woke up at 5:30 this morning, and I went to eat early this morning.
Oh, stop.
I wish I overslept.
How can you
at 5:30 this morning?
at 5:30 in the morning?
5:30 in the morning, and I went to Cockaroosa in Smithfield about 6 o'clock when they opened up and ate breakfast.
So normally what time do you get up on a Saturday?
I get up at about 9, 10 o'clock.
Then how did you oversleep?
Okay, well, then you didn't oversleep today. You said you almost overslept, but you got up at 5:30. You got up 4 hours earlier.
Yeah, I got in late last night, went to the game last night.
Okay, that's not wrong with having a little bit of nightlife and whatever. That's fine too, but you don't oversleep when you get up at 5:30. You oversleep when you get up at 10. No, excuse me. You oversleep when you get up at 5 minutes to 10, and you're supposed to be at the radio. You're supposed to be at your job, like half hour before, so you could do prep work and plan and talk and all that. But that's beside the point. So go ahead, Keith. Don't let me interrupt you again.
Yes, sir. No, we got a big game today, and we got to really get focused today. I told the guys when I came in, we got to get focused because we can't take a team lightly like York. Can't take them more lightly.
Oh, they're good. They have a really solid line of play with their offensive and defensive line. Not a ton of guys going both ways, Keith, but they don't make a lot of mistakes. They're sort of, as Ed likes to compare teams from different districts, they're sort of the Beach District version of, say, a Cox or a Kellum. Doug Pereira does a good job with them, and that's going to be a tough game today. I don't think it'll be a high-scoring shootout. We could be wrong on that, though, but I think it's a game that's going to be in the 20s if I had to give you an indication on it.
Yes, sir. Now, also last night, went to the Franklin Broncos game last night, and they got a new coach, Darren Parker, stepped down. He's a transfer to, I think, middle school, and they got Coach Sumner, one of the kid coaches there at Franklin.
Yeah, Darren Parker right before the season, and it's strange because we had in Draylen Ford and the assistant coach, who's the basketball coach, Robbie Cutchins. Their new head coach is Carl Robertson for football. And they lost last night, didn't they, or did they come back and win?
They lost last night. Probably got a good, outstanding football team, and they're well coached over there. Now, the final score last night was 29-13.
Yeah, I saw they were down early. I didn't see the actual final, so that's the first blemish on the resume for the Broncos, who look to be a contender in Class 1. Still have a few teams ranked ahead of them in Class 1. I think we have Franklin number 5 in the state right now, so in front of them you got the likes of Chilhowie, Galax, and Riverheads in the state.
Yes, I think Southampton, they pulled away last night and beat Sussex Central this year. Sussex is down this year. They got a down year this year.
Yeah, not the typical team for Sussex. Had a chance to catch up with Coach Curtis Jefferson, and he's a lot like Ed Young because for many years he'll sandbag you and tell you, we're not that good this year. Don't pick us high, and then they end up winning 8, 9, 10 games, and they make the playoffs and they do something. He's sort of the football equivalent of Coach Young, but he meant it this year. They were very young. They were going to play some freshmen and sophomores, so they're going to build for the future with this group. I don't see them being the typical playoff contender, regional finalists, state semifinalists that we see out of Sussex. Yes, sir.
Last thing I got there. Everybody think Lake Taylor got a guy. Norby got a guy. Sophomore. He watched a kid for Southampton. Jamal Reed Wilkinson. He had 200-some yards last night.
He's very good, and he's one of the best players in the Tri-Rivers District. And I dare say, if he keeps that up, he's got a chance to be an All-State kid. Yes, sir. And have a nice day.
All right, Keith. You're going to get out there and have fun at the game. Did that breakfast you had this morning? Did you eat with the Smithfield team?
No, I ate in Cockaroos by myself, and I saw most of the players in there eating this morning.
Oh, okay. So some of them already ate.
I'm on the field. I'm on the field now. Getting the boys. They're warming up. The special team out here warming up.
All right. Just make sure you don't get hit by anybody.
Yes, sir.
Live on the field,
on the field interview with Keith.
That's right. When we come back, we've got some private schools, some Beach District, some Southeastern District, and your calls too at 757-687-9494 on
ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here on the program, give us a call at 757-687-9494. Rocking and rolling on this Saturday, the 22nd of September. Matt Hatfield here with the coach, Ed Young. We got Thomas Simmons on the other side of the glass, and we've got more high school football scores to go through from last night. So let's fire them up. You heard what happened in the Peninsula and the Bay Rivers District, and if you missed it, we'll go through them again in the next hour of the show here on High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Ed Young, where are we going to now? We did the Peninsula, the Eastern, and the Bay Rivers. What's left on the docket?
Let's slide in Southeastern.
Southeastern District. There was just one game last night, and it was the game I was at, and we'll get some sound bites from it here in just a bit. We caught up with Dominique Brooks, the quarterback from Indian River, as well as LaMareon James, a couple of the new faces for the Braves this year, and as well as the coach Glenwood Ferebee. And the Braves get the W, 42-6, avenging last year's loss to Nansemond River. There was a lot of chatter on social media about this game. I think it fired up some of the Braves coaches and players. They come out and really put a good number on the board, 42 on a Nansemond River defense that tackles well, physical, and Indian River was balanced offensively, ran for over 100 yards, threw for close to 200 with Dominique Brooks going 13-17. 42-6 Indian River over Nansemond River. It didn't feel like a running clock game there, but end of the day, you running clock a Nansemond River team that won a region championship last year. I think the Braves have to like that.
Yeah, I'm shocked by the size of the score, the differential in the score. I really thought it'd be closer. Hats off to Indian River in terms of really, really taking this game very serious and atoning for that loss in the playoffs. Now with the Nansemond River team, okay, you got smacked hard by a good team that you can see again later. So how are we going to handle it? What are we going to do with this as we move through our schedule? And if I'm thinking right, and I know I got my fingers crossed right, that they'll handle this right, wake-up call, pick it up, and now take out frustrations that Indian River took out on you. Now you could do this to the teams down the road that you have to play against, because I really thought it'd be a closer score.
Yeah, Ed, and they get a touchdown before the half from Kevin Johnson. It's 21-6, I believe the score was before the break. So right then the Warriors are feeling pretty good, but Indian River comes back and they answer. They get a couple of takeaways. A nice long drive to end the third quarter. They get stopped 4th and goal at the 1. The thing I take away with, and Nansemond River is a good team. They figured to be in the playoffs that they won't be an easy out. No completions last night. That's the second time in 4 games they've had no completions, and both of those games they lost to Maury in the opener, losing a 15-point lead, and to Indian River last night. So Do they have to diversify this attack to be a threat to win a region title again? You would think so.
Well, I think if you're a playoff team, if you want to go deep in the playoffs from a football standpoint, you have to be diversified. A good ground game backed up by a good, decent passing, or vice versa. If you're a passing team, you got to be able to run the ball some. And, of course, the consistent for all of that would be strong defense. They have strong defense. They have a good running attack. They have athletes. It's continually developed. That passing game is probably what they'll need to continue to do in their package. But I really think that can be taken care of if they want to go deep in the play.
What happened earlier this week in the Southeastern District, you ask? Well, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, we had some games. Really Tuesday and Wednesday with the Southeastern, as it was Indian River beating Great Bridge 48-2. See, I always tell you got to pick that safety in your score picks. There's always a safety sometimes. You never know. 48-2, the Braves win that one over the Wildcats with, believe it or not, 8 takeaways. They had 4 interceptions and 4 fumble recoveries against Great Bridge. Nansman won on Tuesday night over Lakeland 40-6. It was Oscar Smith winning on Wednesday night 37-7 over Grassfield. Deep Creek pitched a shutout in the rain 24-0 over Western Branch at home. Got a special teams touchdown and a defensive touchdown courtesy of Aiden Smith and Jalen Jones against the Bruins. And it was Kings Fork shutting out Hickory. Now, what's going on today in the Southeastern District? Well, while we're on the air, we'll have a couple of games. Well, towards the end of when we're on the air, 11:30 a.m., it's Grassfield and Kings Fork over at Grassfield. It is Great Bridge and Deep Creek at Great Bridge Middle at noon. Hickory hosts Western Branch at noon. And Oscar Smith plays host to Lakeland at 11 a.m. So the Tigers try to stay unbeaten at 4-0. They, along with Kings Fork and Indian River, the only unbeatens, as well as Deep Creek. Deep Creek, Indian River, next Friday night at Deep Creek. That should be a dandy of a game. Remember, last year the Hornets beat them at Indian River.
Yeah, I think another week here we'll start getting separation. Deep Creek's not a team being talked a lot about in that Southeastern District. As you and I alluded to at the beginning of the year, it was Oscar Smith. I think I even picked Indian River to knock off an Oscar Smith possibly. And, of course, Kings Fork lurks right there. Also, we knew Nansman River coming off a really good playoff year would be there. But Deep Creek wasn't getting enough, and they had a good year last year, and they're showing, hey, we're for real.
So that's what you had in the Southeastern District. All right. That leaves us with what? The beach and the private schools. And extras, I should say.
Yeah, let's go beach.
Let's go Beach District. There were no games last night, so we know what we do. We tell you what happened on Wednesday night in the Beach District, in case you missed it. It was Tallwood shutting out Kempsville 42-0. That game was 7-0 at the half. Lions roared in the second half behind the running of Tajon Yorkshire and a very aggressive defense led by the ends, Josh Lucas and Kayshawn Duncan. Tallwood wins at 42-0. They improved their record to 3-1 on the season. It was Lansdowne beating Princess Anne 20-14. Tavion Goffigan, a 45-yard touchdown catch from Chris Price on the final play of the game. And Tommy Reeman's Eagles stay unbeaten 4-0. They've got First Colonial on Monday night. Kellum and First Colonial, that was sort of the tightest game of the night. 24-21, Kellum outlasting FC. A big night on the ground from Joseph Burris III. He ran for $172 as Kellum got the victory. Cox doubling up Green Run 28-14. And the game of the night on Wednesday in the beach was Ocean Lakes and Salem. Ocean Lakes wins at 9-0. They get a safety early with their defense. They pitch a shutout. First time Salem has been blanked in a football game since 2010. So 3 of the 4 wins for Ocean Lakes, shutout variety.
So we have no Beach District games last night.
Correct.
And they're being played
Monday night.
All were moved to Monday to accommodate the move from last week that the teams played during the week.
Correct. And there will be some games next Saturday as well. We'll tell you about the Monday games right now. On Monday night in the Beach District, Bayside hosts Kempsville at 6 o'clock. It is Princess Anne at Green Run at 6 o'clock. First Colonials at Lansdowne, as we mentioned. Kellum is at Tallwood, 6 o'clock on Monday. And the big showdown, perhaps the Beach District game of the year for the season, Ocean Lakes 4-0 at Cox 3-0. The battle of the Tavions. Tavion Robinson of Cox, the Virginia Tech commit, and Tavion Tank Land, the 4-star Maryland commit for the Dolphins of Ocean Lakes. We'll tell you about our pick later on in the show for that game on Monday. That wraps up the beach. Nothing really surprising you there. The Lansdowne and PA game was an interesting, close game.
Yeah, Beach kind of went the way I thought it would be. Of course, this week, again, some interesting matchups, and I think I do have an upset pick somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, or at least one against you, and a couple week picks coming up. We'll talk about those soon.
All right, the private schools and the extras from last night around the Hampton Roads area. It was St. Christopher's over Norfolk Academy, 27-24. A whale of a game. Will Garlick's got a recap of that one on VirginiaPreps.com if you want to check it out. Isle of Wight shutting out Blessed Sacrament Huguenot 48-0. Christ Church doubling up Atlantic Shores 12-6. Good Counsel of Maryland 55. Bishop Sullivan 0. A shutout there. Bishop Sullivan falling 55-0 to Good Counsel of Maryland. And some extras for you. Brunswick over Windsor 14-7. Greensville 54. Surrey 21. Parkview over Franklin 28-13, as you heard Keith say. Southampton defeating Sussex 24-6. And out of the Tidewater District, King William 35-12 over Washington and Lee. Second straight loss for W&L this week. King William stays unbeaten. And how about the West Point Pointers? 51-8. West Point over Northampton. Got to keep an eye on West Point there. Offense is humming.
Putting some points. The West Point Pointers are putting some points on the board. Say that fast.
Yeah, say that 3 times real fast. You might have tongue twisters. So that wraps up the scores from last night around Hampton Roads. Phone lines are open at 757-687-9494, 757-687-9494. We'll get you in here. You can also hit us up on Twitter, too, at HS Sports Talk 941. That's HS Sports Talk 941. What do we have now, Sir Ed Young?
Well, we're going to do a little talk from last night. My co-host here, Matt Hatfield, before he turned the tip fantastic on the town last night, celebrating.
Boy, you're not letting that go, are you?
We're going to.
He's milking that all show, Thomas.
Trust me, if his shoe was on the other foot, he would not fit. Trust me on this one. But anyways, he got a chance to talk to a couple youngsters from Indian River, Dominique Brooks and LaMareon James. So let's see what those youngsters had to say last night.
Here with a couple of Indian River Braves, LaMareon James on the left, wearing number 4. He had a good game tonight, including that incredible 58-yard catch and run. And Dom Brooks, the quarterback, he was efficient all night. 13-17, a $187, 3 touchdowns, no picks. The Braves beat Nance River. Now, both of you guys were on this team last year that got knocked out in the playoffs by Nance River. But Dom, I'll start with you. How much did you hear from the coaches and the guys that were on the team about this one meant a lot because they wanted to get revenge?
Well, I pretty much tried to stay out of all that, and you know, my relatives, people, friends were telling me on Facebook about everything, so I kind of just toned it out.
Big game, LaMareon, big crowd, and you know about big-time players making those moments.
Yes,
what were the things that the coaching staff harped on as the points of emphasis as you went into this game tonight?
Well, to me, it's like I was at running back. They don't know that I play running back too. So it's like if you keying on me, we got other skilled players that's going to be open too. So it's like you can't key on nobody because we got a whole bunch of weapons. Mm-hmm. We just too deep.
Yeah, you've been playing some wide receiver. You came over from Norfolk Christian, playing some running back too tonight, and you had 7 carries. I think it was for 23 yards. And Dom, you come over from Oscar Smith. Let me ask you, both of you guys, transition to the offense. How have you guys adjusted? What are the things the coaches have asked out of you specifically to make this offense lethal?
Well, for me, it took a while, but as I got used to it, it just clicked, and we just started rolling.
How about you, Dom? You're very efficient tonight, very accurate. What are the things that Coach Ferebee has been telling you got to do at quarterback spot?
Well, it's been Coach Ferebee, Coach Mark, and Coach TJ Lee. So I knew it was my last year playing high school ball, and I had to get into the system, get into the program, get it down pat real quick, real fast, and come out here, help these guys, help us as a team get to where we need to be.
LaMareon, I mentioned the 58-yard catch and run. Take me through that play as you kind of had a highlight reel moment. You reversed it down the field, almost scored. What did you see on that one?
Man, it's just big-time players, big-time plays. And, you know, I get the ball. All I think is a long run. I don't like to have a short run, so when I got the ball, I always like to make the first man miss, and I do it every game. So that's like one of my goals every time I play. So just made a big play, and I set it up for my team. We scored, and we just got rolling.
Tom, I imagine the key coming over from Smith, and same thing here, is just to spread the ball to a bunch of different guys. Did you feel like you did that tonight and you're taking a step in the right direction? What did you see offensively in the ball distribution?
Yeah, every game is going to be somebody different in our system. It could be a running back, it could be a different receiver every week. So we don't sit there and complain about whose game is going to be. We all play together as a team. If it's not your game, it's not your game. If it is, we all going to have your back after that.
Let's chat recruiting for a second. You got your first offer, I think it was this week, was it?
Yes,
from Norfolk State. How did it feel to get the offer from the Spartans? What do you think of them, and who else is recruiting you?
It was great. It was great. There's a lot of colleges recruiting me, like Liberty, I want to say Richmond, Morgan State, Tech a little bit, NC State. So yeah. I want to get on JMU's radar too.
All right, so hopefully the Dukes will hear that. But you got your first one already taken care of. LaMareon, give us the update with your recruiting. You got some offers and some visits coming up?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm just taking it one step at a time. I'm still on my recruiting process. I'm just getting to know the coaches, and I'll just take it from there.
Who are the schools you're most in contact with dialogue-wise on a regular basis? Give us a few of the schools that you talk to the most.
Michigan, Virginia Tech, Maryland, Morgan State, UNC, and that's about it right now.
Last one for both of you guys. What can this team do better as you get towards October and some big games with the likes of Kings Fork and Oscar Smith as you try to make a championship run? What do you guys have to improve on?
I got you. We can improve on, like, just playing as a team, keeping our emotions together. Because, like, you know, this week was an emotion week for especially the opposing team, but we can't retaliate, so we just got to be disciplined on offense and defense.
The thing is for us is like, just keep not being selfish. Like I said, if it's not your game, it's not your game. So you can't be selfish. You can't be selfish.
That's the duo of the Indian River Braves, number 7, Dom Brooks, number 4, LaMareon James. Watch out for them. They might hit you with a 74-yard touchdown. Thanks so much, guys. So there you have it, LaMareon James, the junior for Indian River, and the senior quarterback, Dom Brooks. New faces for the Braves this year, Ed, as Brooks comes over from Oscar Smith. James from Norfolk Christian. They get the win 42-6 over Nansman River last night. And a couple other recruiting updates for you. Coach Glenwood Ferebee told me after the game, Ben Smiley, the big 4-star defensive lineman for the Braves, UVA was on him really, really hard. Still very well could be in the picture, but planning to take official visits to Penn State and Oregon, among other places potentially. Southern Cal could be in play for Ben Smiley, the big 4-star D tackle for the Braves. So a lot of talent on that team that will be playing on Saturdays beyond this year and Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, that's some nice heavy hitters for Mr. Smiley, and he's definitely going to play that level, and that, of course, that possibility of someday playing on those Sunday day afternoons too.
More to do here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. We want to hear from you at 757-687-9494. Were you out at a game last night checking out high school football? Anything you want to talk about in the world of sports, especially high school sports, hit us up now at 757-687-9494. And
I want to add to that, anybody that listened to Mr. Hatfield on the new 757 at 6 weekday show, I want to hear what you think. You know, call in, tell us. I know he's right here. If you didn't like it, tell us what you didn't like about it. All right? It's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
Trust me, Ed will tell you what he doesn't like. It doesn't have to be my show. I'll tell you what I don't like, period.
No, I don't have any problem sitting in a car for waiting for an hour and a half and getting up early and coming here. I have no issue with that. I told you. I'm a patient guy. I'm a kind, loving man.
You're a patient, kind, loving man.
Absolutely. I am at peace right now.
Those that know you best don't always agree with that assessment.
Well, they don't know me as best they should.
In your opinion?
No, they just don't. They think they know me, but they really don't.
757-687-9494 will get you in here. Give us a call right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. Presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
You like that new rejoin there, Ed? Mr. Cutler?
Man, that stuff make your mind go crazy. It's all that, it's like somebody on something and you hear these crazy music.
Let's go to the phones at 757-687-9494 before we get to the clip of John Kepple, the head football coach of the Tallwood Lions. 757-687-9494 will get you in here on ESPN Radio 94.1's High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. And we go to Norfolk and speak with Walt. Hey, Walt, you're on ESPN Radio.
Hey, how you doing, gentlemen? Coach Young, Mr. Hatfield.
Doing well.
Coach Young, you may not remember me, but anyway, my name is Walt Green. I used to see you and Richard Somerville track stacks before you went to Pennsylvania in '93. But anyway, I used to be an assistant coach in Norview, and I just wanted to let you know that Tanya Williams is getting inducted into the University Hall of Fame today, and also the city of Norfolk gave her a proclamation saying that the day is Tanya Williams Day, and I have it posted on my Facebook page and on Twitter and all. So if y'all send me the your email, or if I can get it, I can send it to y'all also.
Yeah, well, I definitely remember you. One of the best track coaches ever in the area, and have developed a ton of kids that got a chance to run at the next level. Of course, Tanya Williams, one of my all-time favorite. I always tell her she's my hero of the female side in terms of what she accomplished, what she went through. Went to the University of Illinois. Had some, if I'm not mistaken, Walt, didn't she try out for Olympics or was on the backup for the Olympics?
She got stiffer in '96, and then she just stayed injured the rest of the time. But I tell you, she was a two-time NCAA champion, and she was the NCAA Female Athlete of the Year in 1996. So she didn't exceed as far as she wanted to, but she had a great career. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a film about our track club, Norfolk Real Deal Track Club, and in part one, Tanya Williams, Coach Hall, and all us, we're going to be featured prominently in that first part.
Okay, so now she's being inducted in the University of Illinois Hall of Fame.
Today at 2:00. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
And then we will.
And today in Norfolk City of Norfolk, they've made a proclamation making this today. I have the proclamation on. I'll send it to y'all. Today is Tanya Williams Day in the city of Norfolk.
Okay, when you don't hang up after we let you go, because our producer Thomas is going to give you the email so we can get this information. Because this was one of the greatest athletes that we've had coming out of Norfolk. She really went through a lot, and she's been a mentor to young runners ever since. She's living down in Florida now. So, and I keep up with her too. Also, Coach Young, I'm doing a feed all day on my Twitter. That's at Real Deal Track, and also on my Facebook, Norfolk Real Deal Track Club. I'm going to be posting about 10 videos of Tanya from Norview, and also about 10 articles, because at that time also I was a volunteer writer for the Virginia Pilot, and I used to also do a lot of stuff for track then. So I'm going to be doing that all day. I just wanted to share that with y'all. Well, I'm glad you did. I tend to be on Facebook a little bit here and there, so I'm going to get on there and keep up with it. Yeah. Coach. Yeah, people think I'm too. Matt used to joke you about not being up there. Oh, it's Twitter. Okay. It's not Twitter, but he's on Facebook all the time. Okay. I haven't done Walt. I haven't done a Twitter yet, but let me say this: I'm getting closer to it. Matt don't even know that. I'm getting closer to it. But I do the Facebook, and I see some stuff that you put up there in the past. You do have done a tremendous job, and you still are. And we should continue. And hey, don't be a stranger to us. You're still very knowledgeable in the track stuff. So as we get into the track stuff and that, because one of our main guys, Justin Byron, it used to be in Nanza River, now is coaching at Cornell. So we might have to turn to you. That's my man, JB, a super guy. Him and two Kenneth. I mean, we lost two giants there, but yes, sir. All right, Walt, we appreciate it. Hang on when we let you go. Okay, I'm saying. Thank you, Walt. All right, Thomas will get your info here in a second, so we appreciate the call there. 757-687-9494. We'll get you in here. Like we said it all the time, we don't talk just football, basketball, baseball. We'll talk track. We'll talk tennis, golf, soccer, talk about. Wrestling, anything you want to talk about. 757-687-9494. I ran into someone Monday night at the Lake Taylor game and says, you guys should talk a little more wrestling. We're like, hey, we rely on you guys to call in about the wrestling. I keep telling people, I'll talk about Roman Reigns, Ric Flair, Braun Strowman. I have high school wrestling, not WWE. Oh, you're talking about the fake wrestling. Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that too. You love watching that on Monday nights too. That's Ed's soap opera, if you will. I'll talk wrestling, but Tanya Williams, just to sidelight to what Walt Green was saying, tremendous athlete back in the day from Norview, and had some Olympic trial, University of Illinois, going into their Hall of Fame. Congrats to that young lady. 757-687-9494. We'll get you in here. Let's go back to the phones, and we talked to one track guy. We go to a basketball guy now. What? Is this Kenny Harris, the head basketball coach at Green Run? Yes, it's by far Kenneth Harris. And who's the DJ of that music at the beginning? Because I love it. I don't know. If it's good, it's me. If it's bad, it's Hatfield. Come on, man. You know this. Had me dancing on my shoes, man. Now that would be a sight. Kenny Harris dancing. Get the women and children out of the way with Harris dancing. But as Ed can attest to, Coach Harris's wife's got way better dance moves than he does. There's no question. Oh, no question. She said he's one of a kind. She said it'll blow your mind away. Yeah, there's no question. And how she picked you, I don't understand. But it's okay. We don't want to cause any problems in the household. She loves you dearly, and we'll just keep that going. Gotcha. Hey, fellas, I'm just calling, man. I'm down here. The coach is playing right now, but we're having a great event at Green Run High School right now, and I wanted to just reach out and it's a drive for your school fundraiser that we're doing for our athletic program. They got a lot of events going on. Our staff, athletic director Shannon and Drury and Mr. Tarkington put together a great program over there where they got bounce houses, DJs, concessions, all our athletes over there. You can meet some great people. All you have to do, go over there, drive a car for about 3 minutes of your time,
and they donate to the school. So if you got time, it's over at I think 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. But if you got time, please stop by there and just help our program out because we could use it.
Yeah, I see it on Twitter at NHSGRHS. They got a little bouncy castle, all kinds of games and fun out there. Nice little turnout, looks like.
It looks like it's going well. I wish I could be there. My players were able to go and support and do their volunteer work. But like I said, we got great athletes over there and they're tremendous, great people over there as well. Now, is Ed Young eligible to go over there and drive or no? Oh, man, he can drive one of them. I seen one. It was a nice Mustang up there. The white, the engine sounds good. Go up there, Coach Young. I know you want to buy a new car anyway.
Kenny, I just got a car.
Yeah, I just got one.
Not this past one, last one. And a white Mustang is not me. Come on now.
Woo, what you like then? They got it all up there. Trucks, vans, whatever you want.
Well, the truth be told, I hate to spill the beans on Kenny, but it's so easy to do.
Uh-oh.
The way this all started, when Kenny was a struggling, up-and-coming young coach, he had no vehicle. So what he used to do each weekend, he would go to different car dealers and pose as he was going to buy a car. The guy didn't have more than 29 cents in his pocket. He would take the car and go drive it and go do his errands, get groceries, do this, do that, take the car back and said, I'll be in touch with you Monday. So this is where this all started.
I wish I had that type of connection. I don't know telling where I'd be right now.
Well, I
wouldn't have to have a final ride up here in Northern Virginia right now.
Yeah, he used to take a car on a test drive for like 2 hours. This is what Harris did. He'd go all over the place, go get something to eat, whatever. Now, by the way, you say you're at a clinic. Now, what clinic you at?
Yeah, I'm at the Wooten, the D.C. clinic, the Adidas clinic. Nice clinic going on. Got to hear Bobby Huggins yesterday and Ed Cooley. It's great right now. John Wooten just spoke, and it's great. It's the first time I've been. They talked about how it used to be and how it's going, but just getting some good knowledge up here.
Hey, give me some notes because I need knowledge, and then also let Joey Wooten know. Send him my regards.
Well, the biggest thing right now is how Bobby Huggins. Every time someone messes up in his practices, he says he has about 4 or 5 treadmills over there, and he constantly puts kids on the treadmill.
Yeah, he's been doing that for a couple of years now. They don't run laps around the gym. He puts them on a treadmill and he turns the volume up high on the treadmill.
Turns it up to get what he wants out of his kids, and I actually like that.
Well, thank you, Coach. We appreciate it. Go check out the drive for your school today at Green Run, and I'm sure we'll be chatting soon about the Virginia Preps Classic returning to Green Run in January.
Most definitely. Thank you guys for letting me do that.
You got it. Enjoy your weekend, Coach.
Hi, Kenny.
That's Kenny Harris, head basketball coach of Green Run. Let's go back to the phones at 757-687-9494. We talk with Shahid. You're on ESPN Radio 94.1. What's happening, Shahid?
Hey, ain't nothing, man. Thank you guys for taking my call.
You got it.
First off, man, fly, Eagles fly, man. Super Bowl champs. You know what I'm saying? Gotta let everybody know that.
All right, Thomas loves that. He's a big Eagles fan like yourself. What's up?
Oh, I hear you. I used to work for an ESPN affiliate up in Richmond, so I have like a huge hot take that I want to – not even a hot take, it's like a conspiracy theory that I want to give you guys real quick, and you guys let me know what you think. It's about Tyrod Taylor and the whole Cleveland situation. Shout out to Virginia Tech. They're in the city today, ODU and all of that. So, all right, so Tyrod Taylor gets traded to Cleveland. And Cleveland's not thinking about drafting a quarterback number 1 overall, especially not Baker Mayfield. So Hugh Jackson is fighting for his football life right now. So he's going to stick with Tyrod Taylor. You take the Buffalo Bills to the playoffs. You ride with that guy. So training camp, everything's going along. He's saying, no, Tyrod's my guy. Tyrod's my guy. Now everybody else in the building, like was it Jim Dorsey? That's the GM name. Hatfield and all of them. Am I saying those names right?
I think that's right, but okay, go ahead.
Okay. So they all want Baker. They really want Baker to play in the game, but he was like, nah, I'm not. Y'all stuck me
John
with
Dorsey, but go ahead. Yep.
John Dorsey, okay. Y'all stuck me with a rookie before, and I went 0-16. Nah, I'm not going no rookie. I'm good on that. I'm sticking with Tyrod. So the first game, okay, you tied with the Steelers, and not okay, whatever. It's not a loss, so you're cool. You're playing New Orleans. Tyrod's playing, it's playing okay. Throws the bad pick that, sets up New Orleans for the win. But that really wasn't the reason they won. The reason they lost is because of all of the missed kicks. So, okay, cool. You give Tyrod a pass right there. Now you get into a primetime game, Thursday night football. All eyes is on you. If Cleveland wins, they open up all the free beer. If you notice the game, the offensive line ain't played good for some reason. Like, Tyrod's getting hit, like, within 2 seconds of dropping back. Like, he doesn't even have time to scan the field. It's down set, HUD, 2 steps, oh, there's a defender in my face. I either got to throw the ball out of pressure or try to get away and get sacked. So that's going along. If Tyrod wouldn't have got concussed, he would have got pulled anyway. Everybody in the organization has some sort of reasoning about that. Because why the offensive line ain't blocked for Tyrod like that? Why the receivers wasn't getting open for Tyrod like that? I personally think that somebody in the organization was saying, hey, look, we really want Baker in this game, and Tyrod's not losing. He's not doing bad enough for us to take the job. Okay. But we need to do something to make sure that he loses this job. Okay. And I think Tyrod Taylor got set up in week 3 because you notice the second Baker got in the game, even though Baker does have a quicker release, I give you that. But still, Baker at least had enough time to look down the field to throw the quicker release, in which Tyrod didn't. That's my basically conspiracy theory. Right. They wanted to get Tyrod out of the way so they can hurry up and get Baker, because Baker's the number 1 overall, pick, and we've seen what happened with that. But the only 2 people that didn't know that the whole thing was going on was Tyrod Taylor and Hugh Jackson. So that's why Hugh Jackson's like, hey, I don't know who's gonna be the starter, because he didn't even know. He didn't even know. What was
all right, Shaheed, we got to roll. We got to roll. We got you. Thank you for calling in. I'm going to respectfully disagree with that take. If you're telling me that they intentionally did not block and try to catch for Tyrod Taylor as opposed to Baker Mayfield, I don't buy that for a second. These are grown men that are getting paid to play football. If they don't block for somebody, they're out of the game. If they don't catch for somebody, they're out of the game. If you feel like Tyrod didn't get a fair shake in Buffalo, that's fine and that's fair, especially for Nathan Peterman. But if you're telling me that the line, and you're telling me that everybody was in on this except Tyrod and Hugh Jackson, your conspiracy theory is really way out there. All right.
I agree.
Okay.
The bottom line is this. You draft a quarterback, number 1 in the entire draft. He is going to start for your franchise at some point. With Cleveland, it was a matter of when, not if. Tyrod got hurt, and he did not get hurt on purpose because he was set up.
No.
Please. He did not. And then he came in, and he had a great game, and they won, and he will be the starting quarterback for a while now until he really screws up or he gets hurt. It's that simple. But when that guy but you're right, Buffalo, Nathan Peterman, that was a mistake.
Sure.
Putting him in there. The kid should have never been in there.
Both of the kids from here, in fact, Tyrod and EJ were better than Peterman.
No question. Still are.
Yeah,
Still are.
Absolutely.
EJ's not even on a roster.
Yep.
But the bottom line is Baker Mayfield, number 1 pick, is going to be a starter. They brought in Tyrod to kind of bridge the gap. That's really what they did. If you want to talk conspiracy, that's where it is. They just, hey, we're bringing you in here. You're going to be a starter. But at some point, we're going to have Baker Mayfield. We invested all the money.
It's the same thing in New York with Sam Darnold. I mean, they had it was McCown and Bridgewater, right?
Yeah, they had like what? Yeah, they had a few. Then they got rid of Bridgewater. And I thought Bridgewater's way better.
Sam
Darnold, but he's a first round pick. You're going to play him.
It happens.
It's just
everywhere.
The way it is.
And sometimes it blows up in your face. Remember back when the Cardinals got Matt Leinart and Kurt Warner outplayed him and got his job back. So
and then they got rid of Matt Leinart.
This is a results business. Hugh Jackson wanted to stick with Tyrod. Other people in the organization wanted to go with Baker. But once Baker comes in, and see, the thing is, when you bring in a guy like that off the bench, sometimes the defense hasn't gotten a feel of him. There's no tape on him, haven't gotten a read. It's part of why he did well, not taking any credit away from Baker and his performance, but sometimes that changed a spark mid-game. We used to see when Michael Vick came in with the Eagles for Donovan McNabb that stretch, that 1 year, the film wasn't on Vick for a while, and there was no prep work done on him. So let's see how Baker does in the 3 to 4 weeks beyond this once there's some film on him and people can game plan for what he does, different from what Tyrod does.
Absolutely. Big key point, a very big key point. And the other thing about that blows that conspiracy out of the water is Hugh Jackson came into the year with a 1-31 record.
Yeah.
He is very, very thankful they kept him. Hugh Jackson, by most standards in the NFL, is considered a tremendous coordinator. He's not head coaching material. So really, the Browns have done him a favor by keeping him as the head coach. So I just, Shaheem, I understand where you're coming from, but I just think that your conspiracy theory really doesn't hold much water.
Give us a call at 757-687-9494. Hit us up on Twitter, too, at HS Sports Talk 941. We got plenty more to do. We'll go through the scores again, more interviews. It's all coming your way right here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
What up, though, baby?
Right here, right now. It's time to talk high school and college sports in the 757. It's the 757 at 6 on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Wrong button there, Thomas. Wrong button. He thought he was
757.
I was on the complete wrong page and everything.
No worries. It's been a long week for all of us, but
I'm just going to say that was a planned cross promotion.
There you go. That's right. Look at that. Good job, Thomas. 757 at 6 every weeknight following the Nick Cattle Show, Nick's show from 3 to 6, and we talk with you some local sports from 6 to 7 every weeknight, Monday through Friday. Yours truly, Matt Hatfield, behind the mic Monday through Thursday. Thomas Simmons with Will Driscoll on Friday nights as I'm out at games, and you'll hear from Kyle Hightower as well. You'll hear from the coach Ed Young as well. You'll hear from a lot of different people and contributors. We have guests, we have phone calls, we do everything involving local sports. So it's always a fun thing, and you can follow the Twitter page for that at 757 at 6. You can follow High School Sports Talk on Twitter too at HS Sports Talk 941, and of course, you have to follow ESPN Radio 941 on Twitter. We are determined, Thomas, before the month is over to get Ed Young a Twitter page. It is going to happen. I am confident it can be done.
We should just make him one and run it ourselves.
I know. That's what I said. You know, they have, what is it? It's like the phony Tony Bennett from UVA.
It'll just be fake Ed Young.
Absolutely. It could be the fake Ed Young, and then when he decides he wants his own real one, then he'll make it, and then we can just let the
I think Faux Pelini was a pretty good one.
Faux Pelini is a good one. It could be Fox Ed Young, right? F-A-U-X or something like that, or phony. Faux, yeah, phone. There you go. Something like that.
Report you to the authorities and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
Well, bring it on. We still want to do it.
We need a good like alliteration or whatever, consonants. Trying to think of connotation. Nope, that's not it. That's not it.
In all seriousness, though, it is a good way to promote your program and your athletic duties, as well as what you do besides on the court coaching with your basketball team. And a lot of people have one. What is your fear of creating one? In all honesty,
I can't keep up with it. I got too much going on, so I'd be wasting time just putting there.
Why would you be wasting time though? You're putting out pertinent information about your program. You know, maybe tryouts, maybe. You're looking for a 6'9" that can play for Nansman River. You're looking for.
I don't recruit though. See, that would lead people start thinking he did it so he can recruit players. I can't do that.
Well, I mean, but you could just tell people about your program and your kids and your games coming up. What is the harm in that?
I don't know. It doesn't. It's not high on the priority list, I guess. But I'm going to tell you, never say never. And it took me a while to deal with Facebook.
And you're on there religiously now.
And now I'm on there probably more than I should be because people have some of the I can't say it on the air.
Craziest videos that you share every 5 seconds because my phone dings every time you do it.
Not videos, but it's more their thought process and then actually what they come out and actually say is like, wow. But there is some very interesting interaction, too, that's thought-provoking, and that's what I want to be, thought-provoked.
Oh, we love that. We love thought-provoking. If we can make you laugh, think, and cry in the same day, it's a full day. It's a great Jim Valvano used to say.
Absolutely.
From NC State. Give us a call at 757-687-9494. We'll have the interview with John Kepple of the Tallwood Lions here in just a sec. 757-687-9494. We'll get you in here. We'll also have a playback with Coach Glenwood Ferebee of the Indian River Braves from their win over Nansman River last night, and we'll go through the scores and look ahead to next week's games later on here in the program before we sign off on this Saturday edition of High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Oh, by the way, Ed, ESPN Radio 94.1 is your home for ODU football, and they got a big game today with Virginia Tech.
Boy, I tell you what, I saw a lot of traffic this morning coming in here. I didn't give the traffic report, but it was a lot more vehicles than I noticed, and I was just wondering maybe they're heading to the stadium for early tailgating. Them Hokie fans now, there's millions of them, so, and of course the Monarch fans. It's going to be a tough sale, I think, for Old Dominion, though, with the situation they're going. But that's why they play it on the field first.
Yeah, don't look at Ed Young's pick on the website later on today because we have the college football picks up there. You won't like it if you're an ODU fan, the score he had. I'm not going to reveal it now. They'll have to look on the website and see it.
Well, let's get back into talking some high school stuff. And my partner, once again, as he runs out of here to go do some interview work, I'll talk with Mr. John Kepple as Tallwood knocks off Kempsville. Let's hear from it now.
Okay, here with Tallwood head football coach John Kepple. His Lions get a 42-0 shutout over the Kempsville Chiefs to bounce back from their last game, a loss to Ocean Lakes. And, Coach, you had about 12 days off or so, I think it was. You told your team in the post-game huddle that second half was the football team we are, not the first half, only up 7-0. What did you not like and see in the first half, and what did you like and see in the second half?
Well, we had a lot of penalties. And we just, our guys weren't doing what they needed to do. We weren't out of place on defense sometimes. We weren't executing on offense. But more importantly, we had a lot of penalties. And we had some silly penalties that we've got to work on, we've got to fix. But that's the kind of stuff that if we say that we're a playoff team and we're going to be in that run, we can't make those mistakes. It cost us last week against Ocean Lakes. I think we had 15 or 16 penalties. So.
Yeah, and trying to make the postseason for a third consecutive year. In the second half, from what I saw there, it looked like your defense was flying around. Kyrie Abdullah had one of the biggest hits I've seen all year. You saw Kayshawn Duncan, Josh Lucas, guys off the edge make plays, and your secondary helped serve.
Yeah, we got in there at halftime. Defense coach, Coach Cherry, got them all together, and Coach Johnson with the DBs just kind of really put everything together and fixed where we were out of line, where we were just in the wrong spot at times, guys in the wrong gaps, just kind of typical defensive adjustments.
Yeah. We're seeing, I think, a little bit more explosive from your offensive here from game one against Princess Anne. That game we saw Gunnar White as the workhorse tonight. Right. A little bit of thunder lightning with him and Tajon Yorkshire, and then Sabian Stone connecting with Isaiah Edwards over the top.
Yeah. We've got a few weapons here, that we've got a bunch of guys that can make plays. We've just got to find ways to get them the ball. That's the big thing. Is offensively we do a bunch of different things, and we trying to get those guys the ball.
Every coach gets asked this, and I'll throw it your way, with the layoff here, with the weather, and how have you guys handled that and sort of the restlessness feeling, if you will?
It's been tough. Friday night about 7 o'clock, I got a text saying that we could practice on Saturday. Okay. So I'm immediately sending a message out to my players. It had to be optional. So we did a video because you didn't know who was going to be there, no bus. But we probably had about 25, 30 guys show up to that optional practice, and just kind of go through things. And then obviously Monday, Tuesday, just a big review of what we needed to get done.
I feel like the beach is at a somewhat disadvantage now. I'm not talking about big picture from the other districts, and that you guys have to go Wednesday, Monday, Saturday, because you sandwich it in for 3 weeks here, and then you have no time to rest here. You got Kellum coming up, who won tonight 24-21 over FC.
Yeah, Kellum's going to be tough. I mean, they beat us last year. Every year they're well coached. They're a good football team. They do some things really well. Their quarterback's excellent. So we know that we've got to come prepared, and a 3-day preparation period for Kellum's tough.
Lastly, thank you for your time. What have you learned about your team here? We're almost at the halfway point. It's hard to say that here in September, but that you didn't know going in, or the things that you kind of, as a coaching staff, you put in the checklist. This we're checking off. This we're not checking off. Besides the penalties, if you will.
I think that we're fighters. I think that we fight. Even in our loss last week to Ocean Lakes, I felt like we still were out there fighting, trying to make plays. Guys still keep coming back. We don't hang our head and put our heads down when something goes wrong. We won in overtime against Green Run. So I feel like that we're a good fighting team. We train that way in the offseason. We do a lot of things that puts them in adversity to force them to work through that. So when we get to this point, that we can play well in that last half of the game.
Ready for tight games in a sense.
Exactly, yeah. We really challenge him in the offseason.
Well, thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you.
So that was Tallwood head football coach John Kepple with us after his team's 42-0 shutout of Kempsville on Tuesday night. Ed, Kempsville, unfortunately, that losing streak is now 50 games, longest in the state. They are scheduled to take on Bayside on Monday night at 6 o'clock. On the Tallwood angle of things, though, they bounced back from the loss to Ocean Lakes 49-21 in a game where they had over 300 yards of offense, scored 3 times on an Ocean Lakes defense that has given up no points in their other 3 games, and they sort of hurt themselves by shooting themselves in the foot with 17 penalties against the Dolphins. But 3-1, here's Tallwood, and once again, we're not talking a whole lot about them because you have in front of them the likes of undefeated teams such as Ocean Lakes, Cox, and Lansdowne.
And then we throw in Bayside, too, that we always throw a lot of love towards, too.
Well, they've got a couple losses. Bayside's 1-2, but Salem was undefeated until this past week, 3-1. I'm just wondering, in terms of Tallwood, they got Kellum next. They lost to them last year. Kellum's gotten themselves a couple of nice wins here over Kempsville and FC to move to 2-1. Winner of that Tallwood-Kellum game has to feel good about their playoff chances. Remember, Tallwood got the 8th seed last year. Kellum missed out. So they only take 8 teams in Region 6A. We've already crunched some power ratings that we have not updated for this week. We did it last week and we put them out
on the Twitter sphere. We'll have them out probably, we'll do it probably middle of next week because there's some games on Monday that will impact it. So we're almost at the halfway point. So beginning in October, we're going to start to really look at the power ratings on a weekly basis to see where teams stand in the region 6A, 5A, 4A, and 3A, involving our teams from Hampton Roads here in the 757. And I think we have a pretty good idea that whoever wins the Beach is going to be vying with Oscar Smith for the 1 seed in 6A. Indian River is in the driver's seat for the top seed in 5A, while in 4A and 3A, it's still sort of murky in terms of who the 1 will be. You're looking at maybe a Lake Taylor, a Lafayette, a Kings Fork in 4 and 3A. Hopewell plays in the region down here with Phoebus and York and some others. So a little bit less clarity in 3A and 4A as opposed to 6A and 5A at the top.
Yeah, I agree, but I think that 4A, you can start with the Lake Taylor, Kings Fork, Lafayette, and
true,
pretty much put them in any order. And I think that's your top 3.
Well, and then even there at the 4, 5, 6 seeds, you're looking at some quality programs. When you look at a Deep Creek, you could throw in maybe a Heritage who's sneaky. So there could be some live lower seeds in that bracket for Region 4A. So there you have it. Some games on Monday that are interesting with the Beach. We touched on Tallwood, Kellum. The big one is Ocean Lakes and Cox, which we will preview on a little bit later. But when we return, phone lines are open at 757-687-9494. We'll hear what Glenwood Ferebee had to say about Indian River's win last night, and had a couple of interesting remarks, especially towards the end of the interview, about the Braves and their long-term vision here. Give us a call at 757-687-9494 on your sports connection around the state of Virginia and especially Hampton Roads. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
Recapping another busy week of prep sports, it's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, thank you. Welcome back to your High School Sports Talk, brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Thank you, Thomas, for some of the going way back, guys, for some of the music that we're playing today. But my partner, Matt Hatfield, did some football watching, not basketball watching last night, and got a chance to catch up with Indian River head football coach Glenwood Ferebee, and let's see what Glenn had to say last night.
All right, here with Indian River head football coach Glenwood Ferebee. His Braves win it tonight 42-6 over Nansemond River, getting a measure of revenge for last year's second-round playoff loss. And, Coach, I imagine with your staff and your players coming back from last year that was the theme all week, was to get a little bit of payback. And there were some things said and even posted on social media that kind of amped you guys up even more, I would think.
Oh, no, definitely. And we love those guys over there, man. I mean, it's all in good fun. We chop it up with each other, through social media. And it's all fun. And the kids, had fun. They were chopping it up too. But you see, they competed, and nothing spilled over. And that's good football. Yeah. That's good football. But we got the best of them tonight. And we expected to come in and dominate this game just based off of some of the things that happened last year with alignment to that spinner series. We didn't line up correctly to it last year, and they gave us some trouble. So we was confident coming in tonight.
Well, you held them to 34 carries for 103 yards, and if you take away the 36-yard touchdown by Kevin Johnson right before the half, you really bottled them up to about 2-3 yards per carry. Do you think that your defense held serve better against that run than what you've seen in previous games?
Yeah, and they talked about all week how physical they were. Mm-hmm. And I told my kids, I was like, we're gonna go out and show who's the more physical team is, and they answered the call tonight, and I'm proud of them. We can be physical, man, when we want to.
Offensively, you score 42 points. Your quarterback is 13 of 17 for 187 yards and 3 touchdowns on Don Brooks. Very efficient, very accurate, spread the ball around about 5 or 6 different receivers. But I kind of get the sense with less than 300 total yards, it's sort of a glass half full, glass half empty feeling. Is that kind of how you look at this now, or?
Yeah, we ran the ball effectively tonight. In the third quarter, I think Nansemond had the ball They had 3 plays, and we ran the ball well, so we didn't have to throw. We didn't have to throw to beat them. So, yeah, it kind of feels that way. But at the end of the day, I think if we needed to, we could have got that done.
Right.
So that's a positive for us.
Well, your versatility definitely looks like a strength in getting so many different guys to touch the football, running it or catching it. But I just look at it too, the thing that offensively for you, the tempo, you probably want that to be a little increased because as you get to some bigger games, that's got to be an up tempo. You guys could have an explosion offensively.
Yeah, definitely. Because we don't have a lot of guys that play both ways up front. So LaMareon's used to playing both ways, and he'll line up on defense. He didn't line up back there tonight, but he'll line up on defense some in the next coming weeks to get him involved in defense. We took it slow with him because of what we do offensively and what he came from it took him a while to understand, what we do offensively and what we're trying to get. Yeah. So we held him back from defense for the simple fact we didn't want to give him too much at one time. So now that he's mastering what he's doing offensively, you'll start to see him out there playing defensive back and being a playmaker over there as well.
Well, you even moved LaMareon into the backfield a little bit more than you had in the previous 3-4 games, and that 58-yard catch he had was just a highlight reel, breathtaking play for you. A few more for you here. You had some other guys step up. Deshaun Cromwell in the passing game. Tell us about him. And then also Ashawn Moore, should I say, kind of like a Jason Lewis running the ball for you there?
Oh, no question. We knew that Ashawn could do that.
Okay.
And we were waiting. We were waiting to unleash that when we needed him. And you see him tonight. And he's going to, now that bag is open, you'll see him out there in some regular sets. Like, we're not going to just line him up out there in power sets. We're going to line him out there in regular sets as well. Ashawn can play wide out. He can play quarterback. The kid's just, an exceptional athlete. And Deshaun Cromwell, he started for us last year. And the crazy thing was, he didn't play in that playoff game last year. He tore his hamstring, so we missed him last year. So that hurt us. That hurt us offensively, being able to throw the football.
When you had some big name recruits, we think of the likes of James and Ben Smile on the defensive line, who, by the way, caught a 2-point conversion pass tonight, which was sneaking there. But even when you've had some of those big names, the Yulees, the Beckett's, the Devin Hunters, there's always been an unsung guy, Isaiah Hyman or Brandon Manley. And tonight, a couple of those guys, Cromwell and Charles Dixon in the second half, was making every tackle, it seemed like.
And Charles coming into his own right now. He's coming into his own right now. He's understanding how to play linebacker. This is only his second year playing linebacker, so things are starting to slow down for him as opposed to him just being a battering ram. He's starting to read his keys and get to the football, and it's been successful for us.
You're now, I think, at the halfway point, or about to be it, with Deep Creek coming up next. Their homecoming. You have 10 takeaways the last 2 games. You play Great Bridge on a Tuesday. You play here in this big matchup showdown with Nance River on a Friday. Give me your temperature, your team. What's kind of your gauge with them right now?
I think they're confident, but I'm going to make sure that they're not overconfident because the goal is to play 15 weeks. And we don't want to drop one. And I don't like looking ahead, but not everybody wants to go to Highland Springs. Nobody, they're a great football team, and the road to that state championship goes through them. And we would rather play them here than to have to go to Richmond in that hostile environment. So that's what we talk about. Let's not look past them, everybody to get to them, but understand what the goal is, and that's to play at home all the way throughout the playoffs.
Power points are important. The Braves trying to keep racking them up as they stay undefeated. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
All right, appreciate you.
So that was Glenwood Ferebee with us last night after his team's 42-6 win, Indian River over Nance River. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com. We go to the phones at 757-687-9494 and talk with Leonard in Chesapeake. Leonard, you're on ESPN Radio 94.1.
How you doing?
Doing well.
I just, had some questions about Indian River's football. They seem like they're on a roll right now. They probably had their best game last night. But my concern is what are they going to do when they get to the playoffs? That their main guys are. You can see a lot of them are playing both ways. When they're going to start, putting in their secondary and third guys, because if you get to playoffs, somebody gets hurt, tired, they're not up to speed with the game. That's my big concern right now with Indian River High School football.
All right, thank you for the call, Leonard, and that's a fair concern, I would think. And in today's age of high school football, there are your better players are going to have to go both ways in often cases. Maybe not necessarily your quarterback or necessarily your running back if he carries it 25 times a game. You heard Coach Ferebee mention about LaMareon James will be mixed in some in the secondary. He's sort of playing that quasi-running back wide receiver role. And Ashawn Moore's going both ways now, getting some backfield touches along with wide receiver Byrne to play with his usual stellar moments at linebacker. Your take on that, and is depth a major concern for Indian River? Would you say not now, but it could be later as we go deeper?
I don't think depth's a problem for them. I think they're good at most positions. I thought Glenn had mentioned a comment that he doesn't play a lot of linemen both ways.
Right, and that's key.
And really, when you think about high school football, if you're playing linemen both ways in the trenches, they're involved in every collision of the game. That's just what it is. Now, you can have a wide receiver who's playing cornerback, wide receiver, and he might go 3 or 4 plays before he gets touched.
Yeah.
Play wasn't gone to him. So it's the linemen that are playing both ways. It's the big worry.
Well, let's give those linemen some love. On the offensive line, going left to right, they have Damari Owens, a senior at left tackle. Left guard is Philip Tonsel White, a senior. At center, it's Antoine Shaw, a senior. At right guard, it's Stephon DeBose, a sophomore, and at right tackle, it's Trayvon Ricks, a junior, 6'4", 240. Only guy that goes both ways on that crew is Damari Owens, and he rotates in on that D-line with Ben Smiley, the 4-star recruit, Kenai Crite, Corey Lucas, and Cameron Hunter. Cameron Hunter, the younger brother of Devin Hunter, now Virginia Tech. So Smiley, there was some talk he might have to play on the offensive line. They mixed him in on a 2-point conversion. Tight end play last night where he caught the ball in the corner of the end zone. You're right. There's not many of those guys are going both ways. Only a couple of them, and that's in spot duty in a way.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest concern. And I always ask football coaches this in high school is, you've got what it's about playing kids both ways, even on special teams. And of course, and you mentioned a few seconds ago, you got to have your best athletes on the field. But sometimes with such a violent sport as football is, and you worry about injuries, that they're involved in a lot of those tackles. I keep calling them collisions. That you wonder if that's going to take its toll as the game goes on, as the season goes on. Now, Leonard talked about, our caller talked about, when are you going to rest these guys and play the other people? Well, you get games where you're winning 42-6, you can play people, and coaches should be playing more and more people. No doubt. Now, football sometimes has a tendency to stick with their people the long time, from high school to pro. I don't know why they do that sometimes. You get a big lead, put those other kids in. They're wearing a uniform, they're in practice, put them in, get them ready, because I've always said this about coaching. If you have to play a kid in playoffs and he messes up because he didn't get a lot of reps in a regular season, that's a coach's fault. It's not a kid's fault. It's a coach's fault. You should have played him regular season where he got some reps. He's in that situation, and it's not new to him. He won't be as nervous. He won't make as many mistakes.
Phone lines are open at 757-687-9494. Give us a call at 757-687-9494 and hit us up on Twitter, too, at HS Sports Talk 941. In the last segment, we will go through a little bit of the scores last night and preview next week's games. We'll do sort of a mixture of potpourri there in the last segment. Hit us up on Twitter, HS Sports Talk 941, and call us, too, at 757-687-9494. Two quick points before we go to break here, Ed, I want to hit on. One, special teams for Indian River. That's haunted them in some of their big game losses in the past, to say an Oscar Smith. Remember that big punt return a few years ago at Hickory High when Oscar Smith won coming from behind, and Rich Morgan's last year at the helm of the Tigers in front of a packed house. D'Angelo White had that big punt return as Indian River led most of the way, and then they stunned the Braves, the Tigers did, in the final minute. Last night, some great plays from Cromwell we touched on. He gets a couple of big tackles, a fumble recovery on special teams, and they got a kicker. Thaddeus Blackburn, junior for them, did well on his extra point and a couple of nice long kickoffs. So I think the kicking game, especially if these games are tight with, say, an Oscar Smith and a Kings Fork in October, that's something that has been, I dare say, an Achilles heel at times. Not all the time, but at times for Indian River, and maybe it's not the glaring weakness it could have been that some anticipated it would be.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier in the show. You got a good kicker in high school. It's going to help you in these close games. It's going to help you as you go deeper into playoffs, because kicking is a very vital part of the game in football, both punting, place kicking, kickoffs, all of that.
And return game. I mean, field position's big with Cromwell, and then Dimitri Speedy Payne. He had a big 52-yard kickoff return to start the second half last night, which basically you're playing a team like Nansemond River that wants to control the ball, milk the clock. Now field position is not in their favor. It's a lot harder to do that and play the style that the Warriors wanted to play last night. Is it a bit premature to talk about Highland Springs now? You heard Glenwood Ferebee mention it. They met them a few years ago in the state semis. They appear to be a pretty heavy favorite to win Region 5A. And I don't know if you noticed it. I got to give VA Varsity on Twitter credit last night. Highland Springs is averaging 57.2 points per game. They are in position to potentially break the record that the Hampton Crabbers in 1996 set with 819 points. That great team with Ronald Curry that averaged 58.5 points per game. Highland Springs might break the state scoring record this year on their quest for a fourth straight state championship. And you and I have said all year long, be it on this radio show, be it on our High School Sports Talk Plus video show, that team is the best team in the state, regardless of division, and this might be the best high school football team we've seen in 10 years.
Yeah, Highland Springs, I got a chance to see them up close last year in the game against Nansemond River. They're very, very, very good.
When they weren't supposed to win it last year, they were supposed to be young, and they brought back 18 of 22 starters and added maybe the best receiver in the state in Ollie Jennings from Hermitage. So they're that much better this year.
They are. Now, you mentioned, and Coach Ferebee from Indian River is talking about them, and some people might say, hey, Coach, you still got a whole season to go here. What are you talking about, playoff state championship? You know, I don't fault. I'm a coach. I don't fault coaches for looking ahead a little bit of motivation. Hey, he's making it very clear to himself, to the team, to the community. We want to get in the state championship game. We feel that right now is Highland Springs, their defending champion. They should be up there. We want to play them, but we want to play them at our place. I don't really see anything wrong with that. A lot of times people, they cringe to that and say, oh, that's bulletin board material for everybody else you play. But it's a mindset. That's what you want. You play to win the games. I think somebody said that one time.
You did. You stole that. And you know what? Honestly, to get that opportunity to host them, they have to beat Kings Fork and Oscar Smith. So he's not running away from that.
Yes.
Last year they went 7-3, got the 1 seed, but they didn't get through, and they wouldn't have hosted Highland Springs even if they had gotten through. So he knows the only chance, because it's going to be hard for Highland Springs to slip up. And even if you both go unbeaten, you never know at PowerPoints if you'll be able to outpoint them. So they very well could, and we'll see what happens there with the Braves and Springers. Should they meet in the first weekend of December for the state semifinals, that would be a much anticipated matchup in the state semis. I tell you what, I'm discounting a lot of teams here, but if we got Richmond Tidewater showdowns in Region 6A, or I should say Class 6 and Class 5 in the state semis of Oscar Smith, Manchester, and Highland Springs, Indian River, how epic would those games be?
You're looking at, yes. And then
but they would be epic games. You get my
Is
point.
there somebody strong in 4A from Richmond? Can we go 3?
Dinwiddie? A Dinwiddie Lake Tiller, or a Dinwiddie Lafayette, or a Dinwiddie Kings Fork?
Kings Fork, Deep Creek, yeah. It could happen.
We could have a lot of Richmond Tidewater hookups there. And I'll be honest with you, we've dominated Richmond for many years, but the last few years, not been the case. Richmond's had Tidewater's number in football and basketball and a couple other sports. Maybe not baseball, but in football and basketball for sure. One more segment here on this Saturday. Give us a call at 757-687-9494 right here on your home for sports. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here on the program, here last segment on this Saturday, the 22nd of September. Glad you are tuned in with us. Alongside the Coach Ed Young, I'm Matt Hatfield. We got Thomas Simmons on the other side of the glass. We thank our interviewers this morning that we had, the Indian River Braves, combination of Dominique Brooks and LaMareon James, as well as Coach Glenwood Ferebee, plus Tallwood Coach John Kepple. Caught up with him after their win over Kempsville on Wednesday night. And we got some Beach District action to tell you about for Monday night. So let's give you a little combo platter. Beach District, Southeastern, Eastern Peninsula, Bay Rivers, as we go through some results and look ahead to some upcoming matchups. Coach, we're going to start in the Beach. Where do you want to go?
Start in the Beach.
Beginning of the Beach on Monday night, there was some games this past Wednesday. All of the, if you call them chalk favorites, won, with Lancetown defeating Princess Anne, with Cox doubling up Green Run. Bayside was idle. Ocean Lakes took down Salem in a much-anticipated battle. It was Tallwood shutting out Kempsville, as we mentioned, and it was Kellum squeaking by First Colonial 24-21. Game of the year, perhaps, is Monday night, Ocean Lakes, Cox, Battle of Tavions, Robinson versus Land. You're swimming with the Dolphins. You're going Ocean Lakes. I'm taking Cox. Why do you like Ocean Lakes in this game? Is it defense?
I like them all the way around. Offense, defense, special teams. I think, and please, Cox people, don't take this wrong. Cox
Coach Stack will never call in anymore.
I know he's going to fuss me out. And
he'll never throw the ball on 4th and 12.
Yeah, he's not going to use any of my offensive plays again. Not that he really needed them. But I do. I think I don't remember my pick, but did I pick a close game?
I think you did have a 24-21 Ocean.
Yeah, something like a field goal, possibly overtime.
You can read the full preview on VirginiaPreps.com on our predictions. We'll give you an in-depth breakdown.
I'm just going to go with Ocean Lakes. Won't be the least bit surprised Cox beats him. And I wouldn't be surprised Cox can knock him off by a couple touchdowns. I don't think.
I would be surprised if your team won by more than 10 points.
Yeah,
I would be.
Yeah, more than you're right.
You went 24-22 Ocean Lakes. I went 20-14 Cox. I do think the higher the scoring that could favor Cox, believe it or not. I think Cox has a better offense. Ocean Lakes the better defense. And to me, the difference with Salem playing Ocean Lakes as opposed to Cox playing Ocean Lakes as opposed to Salem is Salem had Kaylon Black they relied on. This Cox team, you have to worry about Tavion Robinson as well as Leno Lester and Jackson Morgan. 3 different backs, and they can maybe move Robinson around in this game. I don't think we've seen the full Cox playbook, and I don't think we've seen Ocean Lakes' best game yet offensively. Granted, they had 49 against
Tallwood, but in the other 3 games, you're looking at really just averaging a little more than 20 points a game. So they're due for a bust-out game. And by the way, Ocean Lakes plays Lancetown next Saturday. Other beach games to note for Monday night, 6 o'clock across the Tidewater area. Here in the 757, you have First Colonial visiting Lancetown. They've played better under first-year coach Carlos Martinez the last couple of games, giving Salem and Kellum battles. You have Bayside hosting Kempsville. You have Green Run Princess Inn. That's a must-win game. 2 winless teams. The winner has a chance to maybe get on a run to make the playoffs. The loser, you figure, is done for Region 5A. And Tallwood Kellum is sort of the undercard game compared to that Ocean Lakes Cox game. The Tallwood Kellum winner has to feel very good about its chances to get a playoff berth and maybe even a decent seed.
Yeah, I would think that's a tough pick. I think I went with Tallwood.
Let's check out what you did go with, because I just had it up. You went with Tallwood 20-16. I went Tallwood 26-21.
Another close ball game. It could be decided by a kick or a last-minute play. And then I think the other game that you mentioned about playoff and striving for a good season, I went with Green Run over PA.
You did. I went PA, so we differed on that one. And speaking of that Tallwood Kellum game, the winner in the last 3 years has been by no more than 6 points in Tallwood Kellum. So we would be surprised if it doesn't go down to the final possession, maybe even the last play of the game, much like that Lancetown Princess Anne game did. Oh, by the way, if Lancetown wins and Ocean Lakes wins, we got another Beach District showdown next Saturday, 2 o'clock, with Ocean Lakes hosting Lancetown. All right, Beach District, we took that on. Where are we going now?
Beach District, let's go
we got 4 more districts to touch on.
Let's go Southeastern.
Southeastern, they pretty much all played on Tuesday or Wednesday this past week. We had the one game with Indian River beating Nansman last night. My account of 42-6. It was Kingsport shutting out Hickory this week. It was Oscar Smith beating Grassfield by 30, 37-7. It was Deep Creek shutting out Western Branch 24-0. The Hornets are in action today against Great Bridge at noon. Oscar Smith is in action right now as we speak to you against Lakeland. I've not gotten an update on that game. We'll have to look and see. We can get an update on the Tigers and Lakeland here in just a second. And another game that's I mentioned by Ed is Nansman River at Kings Fork next week. That is next Friday at Kings Fork. It's a Suffolk rivalry game. Could the Warriors drop to 2-3, and then they have Oscar Smith after that, 2-4? This could be an uphill climb for Justin Connors. I know he celebrated a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to Justin here a day late, but that's going to be tough. Kings Fork here, they got Grassfield as we speak now, but curious to see what happens there.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one for Nansman River, Kings Fork. Of course, it's a city rivalry. It's almost we throw everything out the window, records, feelings, whatever, and they bash it out on that field. But again, Kings Fork has a lot of weapons. Don't think they're quite as good as Indian River, but that'll remain to be seen. But you're right, Nansman River now's got to pick themselves up off that field after the disaster against Indian River and put on that show. And if not, you got to get a win. I mean, I'm not going to say they have to win a game, but in terms of how things are going, it's a big one.
We have an update on the Oscar Smith-Lakeland game. It's 35-7 Oscar Smith with 10 minutes to go in the second quarter after Cameron Kelly's touchdown run from a yard out. He has 2 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown runs. The latest touchdown run for the Auburn commit was set up by a 79-yard kickoff return from Aaron Acevedo. So Oscar Smith is rolling 35-7 over Lakeland. Lakeland next week plays Western Branch at home. Western Branch looking for its first win here. They got Hickory today, Lakeland and Grassfield, Nansman at Great Bridge. We mentioned they could have gone on a run, we thought, had they beaten Deep Creek. Not the case. Big matchup, though. Deep Creek hosting Indian River next Friday, and it's an opportunity for Deep Creek with a defense that's given up just 23 points in 3 games to show what it's all about against Indian River and their playmakers.
Yeah, I would think in terms of getting the win and what they have to do in that one would be important. Oscar Smith, though, you just said that's done my head. 35-7 the second quarter?
11 minutes to go second quarter, yeah.
So we're looking at, I mean, if they just keep going.
I'm sorry, 10 minutes to go second quarter, 10 minutes ago.
We're looking at a 70-point ball game.
No, they have running clock if you get up 35-7.
Still, I mean, they're putting some points on the board. That just distracted my mindset greatly.
Remember, their offense came in averaging just under 500 yards a game through 3 games. So Scott Johnson with our good pal Rod Johnson calling the shots. They're making some big plays there with the offense. And much like Indian River, versatile. So many different guys catching the ball, running the ball for the Tigers. It's hard to key in on one person to take away.
Yeah, it's a lot of, they got a lot of weapons and they use them well.
They do. So Southeastern, we touched on them in the beach. Where are we going to now? Eastern, Bay Rivers, or Peninsula?
Eastern.
Eastern District. Lake Taylor got that big win last night over Norview in a high-flying, high-scoring affair. I tell you what, every one of Lake Taylor's games this year, it seems like they're putting up 40-plus on the board as they beat Norview last night over there in Norfolk. They beat Maury on Monday night, 49-35. And by the way, guess who's next for them? They go to Phoebus on Thursday at Darling Stadium. We're waiting to see what the status of Javon Harvey is. He got hurt seriously in that game last night against Norview, who ran for 330 yards with Katron Allen, the freshman, and 58-27. The Titans won it. So through 4 games, Ed, Lake Taylor is averaging 49.8 points per game. They're giving up 26.3 points per game.
Yeah, giving up a little bit more than you expect. But again, with them scoring so much, the other team has the ball a lot. So some things can happen. But boy, you're scoring 50 points a game, and your defense is still very, very good. It'd be hard for people to beat them. They're starting to hit that mid-season stride.
I'm interested to see. Someone brought this up to me from the Peninsula the other day, that the Peninsula doesn't have a lot of passing and airing it out, but the defense people think is a little stronger, whereas the offense is better here on the south side. The contrast now with what Lake Taylor is doing in the Eastern District with a lot of high-scoring games against a Phoebus team that's not putting up mega numbers, but their defense is known for being a shutdown unit. You think of both Lake Taylor and Phoebus having to shut down defenses. I'm curious to see what wins out, the tempo and tone of what Lake Taylor has going offensively, or Phoebus controlling the time of possession and the clock and making it a lower-scoring game. Which wins out? You would figure high-scoring favors Lake Taylor, lower-scoring favors Phoebus, right?
Yeah, I would lean towards that. Overall, though, I think right now Lake Taylor's a little bit ahead of the game than Phoebus is. Remember now, Phoebus is still, they played 2 games.
Their second game today.
Yeah, today's only their second game.
And Warwick's 5th game. Right. Is that a disadvantage?
To me, it is, because, you've been out there, it's only your second time, and everybody else 4 or 5 games. Their seasons are halfway over.
Yeah, remember, Heritage game was suspended early in the second quarter due to lightning a few weeks back.
Yeah, so I kind of think that would have a role in it, so to speak, against, especially with Phoebus Lake Taylor matchup. I mean, Lake Taylor is, like I said, midseason form.
But then on the other side of the coin, Ed, this is the 3rd game in 8-9 days for Lake Taylor? And maybe it's fatigue, depth, lack of it. You might be missing one of your key two-way standouts in Javon Harvey, so maybe that is an advantage for Phoebus, whereas Lake Taylor could be a little worn out.
Well, we said earlier in a previous call, you've got to play your backups. When you're winning big, you've got to play them in there, and especially the situation with the weather playing havoc with the football season, you get up 3-4 touchdowns, if not a little bit less than that. You got to play people so that now when you have to play them, they know what they're doing.
Maury ended up beating Booker T. Washington last night in a Norfolk rivalry matchup 30-22. We know about their playmakers with C.J. Beasley in the backfield, Avante Lawton at quarterback, Sheridan Jones, the Clemson commit, Keandre Lambert, Tyshawn Granger, Day-Day, Deshaun Evans, as well as Deshaun Peel. A lot of weapons for Doree McCain. His Commodores are now 4-1. They regroup from the loss to Lake Taylor. They've got Wilson and Churchland next. Then he takes on Norview, where he once was an assistant with Delton Cotton. I look at Maury's schedule, Ed, and I can see 9-1. I really can, and that will put them probably in a spot to get the 2 seed, or could they actually be in position to get the 1 seed should Indian River slip up a couple times to Oscar Smith and Kings Fork? Would you not rule out the 1 seed for Maury?
You're right, and based on that situation right there, you're right, because it looks on paper that Maury can win out, but Indian River's got some toughies coming up. You can't just say they're going to win out. They've got some really tougher ball games, I think, than Maury. And of course, everything's predicated on let's not get guys injured. Let's not hope the weather doesn't keep playing havoc here and there later in the season or whatever. A lot of things do come into play.
Again, I'm looking to see here what happens is Booker T hosting Churchland, both coming off back-to-back losses. Booker T, 1 loss here for Booker T to Maury, so they've lost. They're 3-2. Churchland is 2-2, coming off back-to-back losses to Norview and Norcom. So that's a game that the loser could be a little dicey for their playoff situation. Booker T in Class 3, Churchland in Class 4. Winner can get back on track. And Booker T has broad run to be in October, and they're one of the top-ranked teams in the state in Division 5. So both teams need it. Booker T may be a little bit more than Churchland, although the Truckers want to avoid a 3rd straight loss, knowing that Maury is their first game to begin October.
Yeah, I would look at it pretty much the way you just mentioned it. We are kind of getting in that situation, probably another game or 2 where, okay, it's a big win, a imperative win. You got to do it because of how the points will start going when we start looking at the point system come here in October. And you're trying to jockey for home field advantage, at least in that first round.
Bay Rivers District, you got today Smithfield taking on York at noon. Tab, Lafayette. Tab's shown much better play here with Zach Coldsnow leading the way, the tight end linebacker for Matt Lawson's Tigers. They took York to overtime and lost. They had the big comeback from 18 down to defeat New Kent. And we'll have War Hill back in action next week, Ed. Big game, War Hill at Poquoson. Both teams are undefeated. You know about Noah Holmes, the standout linebacker for War Hill. We had on kicker Fletcher Whalen, the Brown commit, and his leg could come into play in this one. War Hill Poquoson, I figure it'll be close. Dare I say even an overtime type game?
And I'm going to add, I think it's a lot of points going to go down, too.
You do think it'll be high scoring? See, I think it'll be lower scoring.
I'm going to wait till you see my pick.
Wait till I see your pick.
Wait till you see my pick on this one.
You're going to pick like 37-33, aren't you?
Can't divulge that right now.
That's right in your wheelhouse. Lafayette, like I said, today has that one with Tab. Then Bruton. Bruton, by the way, has not been on the field since September 7th when they lost to York by 50. It's been a rough year for them. And Jamestown trying to build off that performance against Grafton as they play host to New Kent. A game where I think both teams need that one to get a little momentum going. So that'll give us the action from around Hampton Roads coming up. And we thank, again, all our guests this morning. It's been a jam-packed show, Ed. You can always watch High School Sports Talk Plus, the video show, and Sports Talk Plus on VirginiaPreps.com. We thank Thomas Simmons, our producer, engineer, other side of the glass. I'm Matt Hatfield.
I'm the coach who was on time and real early today. Real early. I was here 8:45. I don't want to get into it because my partner wasn't here. I had a late night. But I'm the coach, Ed Young.
No, it was an early night. You're wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers shirt, so I guess you're in favor of keeping Mike Tomlin.
No question about it.
Can they beat the Bucs on Monday night, though? That's the big question.
Oh, yeah, they'll win.
He's guaranteeing it.
Guaranteeing
it's a cold
it.
stone lock for Ed Young. And if he's wrong next week, he'll be wearing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers mask and shirt and jersey, the whole 9 yards.
I wear a Tampa Bay shirt next week if they lose. I think I have one.
We
got to stop playing college football games on Friday nights also. Just got to say that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. See, that's
never want to go through that again.
That's what I'm going to blame it on. Thank you, Thomas. We appreciate your help. The coach, Ed Young, on Matt Hatfield. Do it again next Saturday, the 29th of September on ESPN Radio 94.1.